Welcome back, Nick Lenz Comic Corner, Classics / Non-Classics, episode number 703, and Doubleshot number 607. Two X-Men trades. One is kind of a follow-up to my 700th episode when I reviewed the X-Men vs. Apocalypse, Age of Apocalypse, because Apocalypse was killed off in that storyline. Now you're about to see his return, 6 years later. Though I did not make this video 6 years ago, I made it today. We have X-Men, the Blood of Apocalypse. Collecting X-Men Volume 2, issues 182 to 187, written by Peter Milligan and Salvador Larroca. Yeah. Here's the thing about this particular storyline. It is by far the final storyline Peter Milligan does for this particular book. I have honestly no idea why he left. At least he left with a high note, with the return of quite possibly one of the greatest X-Men villains of all time. A lot of people like Magneto, Mr. Sinister. But here's the neat thing about Apocalypse. Over the past 18 years, he has not been used very much at all. It's like right after they killed him off Age of Apocalypse, they only brought him back twice. And this was the first time they resurrected him since that particular storyline. Yeah, it's explained because of the events of House of M that he was able to be resurrected again. Despite the fact when he was last seen, he got killed by frickin' Cable. Oh, and by the way, those of you curious though, where the heck is Cable in the storyline? Yeah, he's nowhere to be seen. For what I remember, I think Cable was kind of dead at this point. So, yeah, there is no Cable in this actual storyline. The lineup for this particular thing is majority of the X-Men basically taking him on. For pretty much, now the final 7 issues, of course this contains just the final 6 of 7. The lineup for this very brief era of X-Men is Cyclops, Emma Frost, Gambit, Iceman, Mystique, Polaris, and Rogue. Yeah, that is the lineup in here. Simply put, this is probably by far, now for a storyline that follows Apocalypse, this is probably the first one that has evolved where it just evolved just a story arc. Not a crossover, surprisingly, yes. Because over the years, like after his debut back in the 80s, he's generally been featured in crossover events, usually being the main villain of it. This is probably the first time ever this has ever happened. Well, actually, one of 2 times this has happened. The other, of course, was his return in 2010. And, of course, you gotta love the fact that the artist put him in his classic attire that he's known for wearing, the metal tubes coming out of his arm, the blue, the big A on this belt. Yeah, this is classic Apocalypse. And I love what they do with him in here. They make him such an interesting character. And also, and this is kind of good the trade includes this, there was a backup feature. Yes, X-Men Volume 2 had a backup feature. But it was only for this one storyline. It's called Riddles of the Sphinx. Simply put, it's basically how he forms his Four Horsemen. Who is his Four Horsemen? Well, his Horseman of War is some no-name guy we've never seen before. Yeah, that is the Horseman of Famine. You want to know who this is? This is Sunfire. And yes, he recently went back to this particular look. And they also have the Horseman of Pestilence. Actually, it was Famine. Pestilence, who turned out, this was actually revealed a little bit later, Horseman of Pestilence was actually Polaris. Yeah, who actually, believe it or not, actually briefly lost her powers after M-Day, though she did get back. Those who are curious about Polaris. Polaris is a character who's a daughter of Magneto, the only one that's still daughter of Magneto and not been retconned like they did with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. And she has the same exact powers as Magneto. Basically, she can move metal, just like he does. Yes, she has briefly tried to wear her father's helmet, though she got knocked out for it. And the reason why she put it on, because Alex Summers, who she proposed to get married, got cold feet at the wedding ceremony. Not kidding about that. And who is the Horseman of Death? Now, the original Horseman of Death in present day was in fact Archangel, aka Warren Warrington III. He was the original Horseman of Death. Who was one in this storyline? Why, frickin' Gambit! And yes, this particular thing does come back later on. Somehow this whole thing of him being death gets reversed, though it does come back for a second coming, which is a bit of a surprise. Oh yeah, the thing, they also bring it back just prior to I think it was just after, it was that just start of Nation X, basically teasing of him going back to being Death. Yeah, this is by far a really good action-packed storyline, and probably the most epic Apocalypse storyline ever to come out of Marvel Comics. And this involved the Avengers. Yes, the Avengers try to take on Apocalypse's forces. This is probably by far the first and only time that the X-Men have done this. The Avengers have done this. Though, of course, the Avengers are made up at this point of Spider-Man, Wolverine, Iron Man, Luke Cage, and Spider-Woman. The original New Avengers lineup that Bendis formed back, well, mostly in issue 3, but Wolverine joined issue 6. But yeah, the reason why they're fighting Apocalypse because he attacked the friggin' UN. Yes, he attacked the UN in this storyline. This is by far a really awesome story. And the guy dies at the end. Yep, Apocalypse gets killed off, and he stays dead for 4 years. 4 years, not 6 this time. 4 years. Coming back at the first arc of Uncanny X-Force. A storyline called The Apocalypse Sleuth. And yes, I have reviewed that trade. Check out reviews that came out a couple months ago. You check out my thoughts of the storyline. But this is very good. And for a trade that came out roughly 12 years ago, it's in good condition. It is really good. I give this book 9.5. A 10 out of 10. It's really damn good. Nice way to end Peter Mulligan's run for X-Men. And of course, Mike Carey takes over. I think I have reviewed Supernovas. I don't remember if I have, but it was a really long storyline. Next up, it is X-Men Dreams End. Collecting Uncanny X-Men 388, 390, Cable number 87, Bishop number 16, and X-Men Volume 2 issues 108 to 110. Writing by Chris Claremont, Scott Lobdell, Joe Pruitt, and let's see, Joe Pruitt and Robert Weinsberg. Yes, the Dreams End storyline is a 4-parter. Starts from Uncanny X-Men number 388, continues in Cable number 87. Part 3 is Bishop number 16, and the final part is in issue 108. The final couple issues in here, the final 2 issues of both Uncanny X-Men and X-Men Volume 2 are standalone issues. By the way, there are 2 major deaths in here. One is still dead to this very day, despite the fact her brief resurrection during the events of Chaos War. The other, of course, was undone like about 4 years after the storyline wrapped up. Yes, I'm not kidding about that. Yeah, this storyline was released over the course from 2000 to 2001. Yeah, and this came out just prior to. This is actually this storyline came out just prior to the Eve of Destruction storyline, which I have reviewed a few episodes back. Yeah, the death actually stuck to this very day is death of Maura McTaggart. She gets killed by Mystique in the final issue of the storyline Dreams End, which actually wraps up a loose, reoccurring storyline going since 1991. Yeah, a storyline went on for 10 years. What storyline is that? The Legacy Virus. Yes, the Legacy Virus started by the clone of Cable, Strife. Yep, he started in the Executioner song and continued rampaging through X-Men comics for the next 10 years, and finally in the storyline, well, in the finale of this, in issue number 390, Colossus releases the cure by having him die. And he stays there for a few years until he's resurrected by Joss Whedon and John Cassidy in Astonishing X-Men, The Gifted storyline. Yep. And also, Senator Robert Kelly actually gets killed off in this very storyline. I think he's killed by Mystique, as I remember. Yeah, reading this. I just finished reading this. Yeah, he gets killed by Mystique. The Bishop title, Bishop number 16, is actually the final issue of this series. This was a short-lived title, launched in 2000. From what I can tell, it probably had the same writer for 16 issues. This is done by Scott Lobdell and Joe Pruitt. He probably wrote all the issues. Yes. This also kind of ends Chris Claremont's second era on Uncanny X-Men. Yes, his second era, because right after these issues wrapped up, he got moved over to Extreme X-Men for a few years before he came back to Uncanny X-Men in 2004. 2004. Yes, 2004 he came back to Kenny X-Men after 4 years basically doing Extreme X-Men. I will eventually one day review the first volume of Extreme X-Men. And despite the fact, yes, Colossus is dying here, he gets brought back a few years later by an alien. Because apparently he's going to break World. Yeah, it's really weird. Something that Joss Whedon came up with. Yeah. But I gotta say, for the storyline to come out just prior to Eve of Destruction, it's actually a really dang good storyline. Though it is the pencil major storyline prior to Eve of Destruction. And this came out like around the same time the Search of Cyclops series came out because if you read these issues, Cable still has Cyclops' visor around his neck, which he actually kept around his neck for about a year. And yeah, so this contains the final few issues of Chris Claremont's brief return that he had to Uncanny X-Men, and of course, return to the X-Men title. Yeah, only lasting for a good 10 issues before he left. Yep. And he came back with issue 444. Great storyline. I'm going to give this book roughly a 9.5 out of 10. It's really good. Ugh. Yeah, I pulled a muscle in my arm, so it's kind of hurting right now. Alright? So, that's it for this particular episode. Stay tuned for the next episode when I get a chance to do it. There will definitely be more X-Men trades coming. And that'll be episode number 704 and Doubleshot number 608. Okay? But until you see you next episode, bye.